Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about software development companies. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, I am starting a business and we have dependencies on digital solutions. How can we find the right software development company for our needs? Well, it depends on if you're asking me if you're going to like hire someone to build parts of your system or if you're just looking for consultants. If you're looking for consultants or something like that where you're going to have like in-house developers talking to you or things like that, there's my answer is going to be one thing. If you're looking for someone to build you a product and then that's it, that's a different story. So the consultant part, I would say that finding the right consultancy, you should never ever try to do that without having someone you trust on the inside, someone who's there to actually do a good job for your company and actually is a good, strong software developer. The reason being that you can never trust a consultant ever, basically, or I mean, it's not that they're bad people, but you can't trust any consultancies whatsoever, because the problem is that the interviewing process and the screening process of what classify as a good software developer is so shit in the consultant. I mean, if you think it's shit in the software companies, you just wait until you see the consultants. I've interviewed, like I don't even know how many now, and I can tell you that out of 10, maybe one person actually knows the thing that they claim to know on the CV. Most consultants are not like the average consultant is actually pretty weak in terms of coding skills, depending on your region, of course. But that's why I tell people that you have to have some way of evaluating a person, and if you don't have any coding experience or anything like that, that's the first thing you should do. You basically would hire an individual who is a former software developer or an actual real software developer, ideally someone who is like sort of in the stage where they've been doing coding now for the longest time and they're willing it's time for them to go up to management. That's what I tell people usually. If you're gonna promote people in, or you're gonna find someone who's going to be responsible for something in engineering, it's almost always better to find yourself a tired senior software developer or someone who has just decided to, yeah, no, actually I want to do something else with my life, than just do the coding and upgrade them to a manager, because they will have the understanding ideally of what makes a good software team. Well, that's not always true either, because not all people who work as software developers, as I said, are good. So it's a very difficult thing. It's sort of like finding, like I think I said this to my product owner the other day. I said, because he was telling me about how difficult it is to find a good builder that you can trust, or a contractor, and I said, imagine trying to finding a software developer, because at least with a contractor you can see if the pipes are leaking. With the software developer, you're basically just trusting that the system is going to work, because you have no way of checking if they're good or bad apart from their word and maybe the word of somebody else. And that's why I tell you, just find someone who knows their stuff and that you feel that you can trust, who has a track record that you feel comfortable with, and have them help you hire the consultants or in-house people or so forth. If you're buying software, it's easier if you know what you need to do. And it's very, very simple. I told my friend the same thing. If your company is buying a system from another from a software company, you should at all times be able to say to them, before you pay them a damn cent, doesn't matter which company it is, you should be able to tell them, please show me your SLA agreement. Now, what is an SLA agreement? Well, it stands for Service Level Agreement, and it is a legal document that states how the system is going to function, what requirements it has on it, in terms of availability, in terms of performance, etc., etc. It's sort of the same thing that other industries have to provide, because if they don't, well, if you buy a car, if they don't tell you how fast it can go, or if the brakes are working, or if how often the brakes are going to work, or all of these sorts of nice little things, you're going to die. And software has never had something like that, or historically that's not been something that we've done a lot, and it's not something a lot of people talk about in software because some people are so used to that the expectation is that it should always work, but that's actually not reality. Software is extremely unpredictable, and it requires a lot of energy and effort and skill to make it work all the time, and it's very costly sometimes as well. And so a lot of people who buy digital solutions find that if you buy it from the wrong person or the wrong company, it's actually shit and it never works for any reason. And if you don't have an SLA, you're basically hoping that they care about you as a customer, and that's it. You have no guarantees. And that's what I told my coworker, or not my coworker, my friend. I told him, just cancel your contract with this company that he was, I think it was for invoicing or something like that. Cancel your contract with that company and go and talk to a company who has an SLA agreement, and then you get yourself a technical person who understands how to read an SLA agreement, and then they evaluate based on, like, they talk to you and ask you basically how, what requirements do you have on quality of service, and check, is this agreement up to what you need? Because if you have this, they are legally forced to meet certain quality requirements, and that's the beautiful part about this, because that is not something that is subjective. They can't explain it away. They can't do anything apart from deliver the thing. And for you as the person who's buying your software, that's very convenient, because it basically means that you don't have to worry that if something isn't working, that you're going to have problems getting that fixed. You don't have to worry that there's going to be some type of problem and you have to put yourself in this weird situation where you sort of have to you have to, I don't know, start to learn how to work with a shitty system, because if the system is not up to your standards, or if it's not fulfilling the SLA, then at the very least they are going to usually have some legal repercussions. They're going to be liable for compensation, things of that nature. It is a different matter if your problem with the systems that you are buying is that they're not very usable or user friendly. SLAs are usually just about performance and availability times and things of that nature. But then at the very least you're guaranteed that shitty system that your employees hate, well, at the very least it's stable enough that it's always going to work. Because if the service is down, as I said, if there's a lot of bugs or production issues where you can't actually use the system effectively, well, they're going to have a legal incentive to fix it very, very quickly. So what I want you to take away from this is that how you find the right software development company, if you always go with a company that has upfront information about their service level agreement. Always. No exclusions, I would say, whatsoever. Because that is the same thing, the same sort of expectations you would put on a car manufacturer or any manufacturer, anybody basically. If you're going to buy something, if I go into the store and I want to pick up a piece of fruit, well, then I kind of expect that the thing is going to be, be edible. If I can't trust that this thing isn't going to kill me, or it's going to be poisonous or something like that, then I'm not really getting my expectations right, unless I'm expecting to get poisoned. And it's the same thing with you. If your expectations are that the system is going to work and you're going to get support if something goes wrong, etc., etc., you have to have that written down. And an SLA is the most effective. It's standard practice, or it's becoming increasingly standard practice. It's a standard practice in the large companies. Practically all of them are. The companies, they will not, if you have a critical system to your business, the time when you just trusted that people who you were buying your stuff from are good people and going to do a good job, and you just trust the smile of that sales rep that they have sent you, those days are over. Today we have legal agreements that state how often the system can go down at most, how, and support and all of this stuff. And you always have to understand that part before you hire any software development company. Then everything else comes down to chemistry. Do you feel that these people seem to be trustworthy? Are they listening to you? Do you feel like, yeah, and that part I leave to you, because it's a gut feeling for people who are not master level programmers or like senior level programmers. If you're hiring consultants, and I would even say if you're going to hire any software development company, try your best to find a trustworthy senior level developer who is willing to help you out, because at the very least then you're going to have someone who speaks the lingo, and in a really lucky situation you might have someone who's going to set you up really well. But the bare minimum, if you're buying software from somebody else, make sure that there's an SLA. Have a great day.